Loops are a set of instructions that are carried out repeatedly, either for a given number of times or until something specific happens. Loops are all around us. Every time you complete the same action more than once, that's a loop. So walking to the store is a loop consisting of moving your left leg, then your right leg. Then you loop it back again to move your left, then your right, and so on. Programmers use loops so they don't have to write the same piece of code over and over again. It's a bit like race car driving. Say one lap is equal to one line of code. If the car goes around 20 times, it's like writing that same line of code multiplied by 20. So you'd use a counter to keep track of how many times it's gone through the loop. This is called a while loop. The loop continues while the counter is below 20. While loops are also known as conditional or condition-controlled loops. The real use for loops is when you want something to keep happening until something else happens, but you don't know exactly when or if that something else will happen. Let me explain. We're walking to the store, but we don't know exactly how many steps it will take to get there. So we want the left leg, right leg loop to run until we get to our destination. Now this is an example of a do-while loop. At the end of each cycle, a do-while loop checks to see if the conditions have been met. So, are we at the store yet? If we're not at the store, the loop continues and we keep walking. If we are at the store, we stop walking and we move on to the next part of the code. So how do loops work in the coding classroom? If you're using a visual programming language like Scratch or Blockly, then your loops will look something like this. In Scratch, it's called a repeat or repeat until block. A simple way to explain how loops work is to use the shape of the block. Everything inside the block keeps on repeating itself. Everything outside the block will happen only once, from top to bottom. A good activity for exploring loops is to make repeating patterns, something like a starburst. It might look something like this. The next task might be to have the color of the line change each time. If you do this inside the loop, then you can get a cool rainbow effect. If you do it outside the loop, then the color of the pen will change just once. Remember, loops are fundamental to programming, and the best way for learners to get comfortable with loops is practice.